Welcome to another edition of the MDM podcast. I'm Mike Hockett, our executive editor. The JanSan food service disposables and industrial packaging supplies distribution markets have seen considerable consolidation in recent years, and two of the leading culprits in those verticals have been BradyIFS and Envoy Solutions. That has included the merger of Brady Industries and Individual Food Service into BradyIFS, which has made numerous acquisitions post-COVID, while Envoy likewise has grown through deal-making. BradyIFS and Envoy took it to a whole other level this fall as the two distributors merged at the end of October to form one company that has nearly $5 billion in annual revenue, powered by about 6,000 employees across 180 locations, and representing over 100,000 branded and exclusive brand products. My guest in this MDM podcast episode is Ken Sweder, who now serves as chairman and CEO of the combined company after serving in those same roles for BradyIFS. We discussed the strategy behind this landmark merger, the moving pieces involved, and how the company has no plans of slowing down on the expansion front, evidenced by the fact that it announced 3 more acquisitions since the merger announcement, including one on the same day we recorded this episode. We also touched on what the 2024 demand outlook is for the JanSan, food service, and packaging markets that BradyIFS and Envoy serves, as well as if a rebranding is in works. Enjoy. Ken, thanks for joining the MDM podcast.
Mike, thanks so much for having me. It's nice to connect.
It's been exciting to watch the evolution of Brady and then BradyIFS, and now this BradyIFS and Envoy Solutions combination. And before we dive in here, I was hoping you could give our audience just a brief walkthrough of what your career path has looked like leading up to where you are today.
Sure, Mike. So I've always kind of tried to get to the intersection of operations and strategy and finance from a career perspective. And that's really where I'm at today. But in terms of specific to kind of distribution experience, I've been in the space for quite some time. Actually started at Interline Brands, and then Southern Carlson, and then, as you noted, kind of IFS to BradyIFS, and now, of course, very excited to partner with the team at Envoy Solutions as well. It's been a really exciting journey, and both as kind of in the public environment as well as private.
I kind of gave a little bit of the overview of what this BradyIFS and Envoy Solutions combination detailed as far as what was announced in the press release, but I was hoping to get a little bit of the timeline of this merger between BradyIFS and Envoy Solutions. So if you can touch on, when did serious discussions with Envoy Solutions begin?
Sure. So as you can imagine, after the FEMSA's announcement, just in terms of their desire to explore strategic alternatives, it felt like a great time to kind of speak and to talk about next steps with the Envoy team. But I think one really important note, and as you know, we'd kind of known each other for a very long time, so this felt very natural, actually, as well. We'd been on the other side of kind of potential transactions. We'd stayed in touch over the years, and so this was to us at least less of a formal process and more about making sure that the fit felt great. Because we knew that there was a lot of potential across these platforms. And so it was something that just kind of started to kind of gain momentum naturally. And of course, it culminated in our merger.
Yeah, like you said, both companies were similar in the fact that both were growing pretty rapidly through acquisitions. And there's been a lot of consolidation in the JanSan food service, those kind of consumable space. So it's definitely understandable why there would be that natural flow between the two companies. Mm-hmm. And with the deal closing in early November and the announcement of the combination at that time, is there a timeline in mind as to when this combination will be fully integrated, or at least is expected to be fully integrated?
Sure, Mike. Well, as you know, we're so acquisitive that it's probably never fully done. So there's always some work to do. But I think to your point, we have started work to think about how we bring together the best of each of these businesses. And that will take some time, whether it's the IT platform or supply chain, merchandising, sales. So we want to be very, very thoughtful and very, very disciplined to make sure that we are combining the businesses the right way. But it is very important, and I think you kind of touched on this earlier. Kind of consolidation, integration, kind of coming together and winning as one is really in our collective DNA. We've done it many, many times. So if you look at the heritage of even BradyIFS, I think we probably acquired about 20 businesses, but we had completely integrated 18 of those over the last few years. So we like this idea or kind of concept of power of one, simplifying our business. And really, Mike, we like that because that's what our customers want and desire. They want one way of doing business and one website and supply chain and product assortment, digital capabilities and the like, and of course, one very, very strong consultative selling relationship. And so our customers have been asking us for that. We think that we're a little bit unique in the industry, but it is going to take some time. But I think that we feel pretty good that we have the right, toolkit, the right kind of process and model to bring these businesses together the right way.
And certainly, as we've touched on, BradyIFS and Envoy are no strangers to M&A. But what are the challenges involved with the merger of this size and the amount of integration involved?
Sure. Well, you want to be very, very careful to always, Mike, stay focused on the customer. One of the things that we've said is the larger we get, the closer we want to get to our customers, not the farther, all right, away. So we've been very, very thoughtful about staying focused on our customers, staying focused on our associates, and making sure that we're, as I said, building the business in a thoughtful, kind of disciplined manner. And so that, none of that will change. Now, clearly, the scale of our work is, I think, first to industry, right? It's much larger than anything that's ever been done before. And that excites us. We don't see that as a risk. We actually see it as an opportunity to transform more than we, even had at Envoy individually or at BradyIFS, on their own. So it's a pretty neat intersection. And while there's always risk, we see much more potential. So, great brands across the businesses, like-minded way of doing business, very similar cultures, Mike. And of course, an outstanding team. I mean, one of the things that interested us the most was, the BradyIFS team is solid. The Envoy Solutions team is great. And now we're, 6,000 associates strong, 1,500 sales professionals. So it's a really great kind of strong foundation on which to build.
Now, when Brady merged with individual food service, there was the rebranding of sorts as BradyIFS. So when I saw this announcement with Envoy, it made me curious to ask, can we expect a rebranding similar in the near future, just as far as namesake goes? So is there anything like that in the works that you can touch on?
Sure, Mike. Well, I'm sorry that I don't have a scoop for you today, just in terms of a final brand here, but rest assured, we are working on that. As I think we have a number of outstanding heritage brands, and so right now we're sort of you're thinking about what's the best combination, what is the best way to kind of unify this business from a branding perspective, and so we're hopeful that we'll have something for for you in the industry in the new year.
We will definitely stay tuned. Well, the press release for the Envoy Solutions and BradyIFS combination, when it announced this deal, it touched on some of the benefits that both sides will see from this combination. But I was hoping to go just a little deeper here in terms of what were the key factors or attributes in Envoy that encouraged your BradyIFS team to pursue this merger?
We call it many ways to win. As we looked at this opportunity, given the fact that we could know both of these businesses very, very well, when you rescale them, there's just a lot of different ways to win. And so in terms of where we saw potential, we see more potential serving our customers nationally. We see more potential in terms of expanding our product assortment, whether it's, packaging or food service or JanSan or even marketing execution. We see a lot more potential as well to kind of resource and to disproportionately invest in our commercial engine. And that's very exciting. So, for example, maybe areas where we had less density, we can now get a little bit bigger and a little bit larger and stronger. So there are a lot of ways to win, whether it's sales, operations, technology, or supply chain. We actually think that there's potential across each of those.
So you already kind of touched on this, but besides the combined market share, any other key benefits that you anticipate this merger providing both BradyIFS and Envoy?
we always kind of start customer back. So we're convinced that the better we do for our customers and for our associates, the more potential there will be, and that's really been our lens. So I kind of called out a few as you note, but I think just to go a little bit deeper there. We have heard from our customers that they want to simplify and take friction out of all of their interactions. They want the right kind of consultative approach and support in the field, right? People who are solving problems for them every day. And that's really where we will continue to hang our hat. We are, is that a kind of a commercial organization. We like to spend time with our customers. And so you will see us continue to lean in to kind of field sales and inside sales and digital investments. You will see us continue to get faster and much more integrated across the businesses so that we truly connect and operate as one in service of our customers. And then we think that as we disproportionately resource and grow and invest, it's going to create a lot more opportunities for our associates as well, which should be, very exciting in terms of, always making sure that we have the best talent in the industry.
And since the BradyIFS and Envoy merger closed in early November, the combined company has already announced another acquisition in the form of New Jersey-based Qualmax. So that already kind of answers my next question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Can we expect this combined company to remain active on the M&A front going forward?
Sure, Mike. You're right. We announced one as soon as we closed. And by the way, we just announced another one today. So we've been very busy. And to your point, we can expect to stay very, very acquisitive. We have a large addressable market. We really like our kind of core focus areas, as I said, whether it's packaging or food service or JanSan. We hope that the model that we're building resonates, and it's we are one of the acquirers of choice. And we're really like a great home for operators who want to continue on and be relevant and have a kind of right legacy and heritage for their teams. And so we find that resonates because it's real and because it affords potential new partners new and better ways of doing things at scale. And so yes, we will be very, very acquisitive here in the coming quarters and years, and we think that that's a really key arrow in our quiver, so to speak, to continue on our growth trajectory to build value for our stakeholders, customers, shareholders, and investors.
Switching gears here a little bit and looking more broadly, it seems that the economic outlook consensus from most industrial and commercial distributors and manufacturers is one of a soft landing in 2024, with a lot of surveys noting expectations for low single-digit or flat growth in 2024. From BradyIFS and Envoy's perspective, what are you seeing and hearing as far as forecasted demand for the JanSan, food service, and industrial packaging markets that the customer serves? And I unfortunately wasn't able to attend the ISSA conference, but I'm definitely curious to hear what the temperature was there in terms of what that estimated demand is across the board.
Yes, Mike. I mean, it's a great question, and it's a very, very important question. I know that to your point, there's been talk of a recession or a soft landing or somewhere in between. And of course, no one knows perfectly, but in terms of kind of tone in the session last week, I think people were overall expecting kind of continued slow, steady, consistent growth. Now, Mike, I think that will actually differ a little bit by our end markets. So, based on what I'm seeing, my sense is probably food service is a touch slower at the start of the year, and then it builds momentum throughout 2024. So growth actually accelerates. I think that the same thing for packaging. Packaging and food service were two end markets that were a touch more exposed to some product costs and price deflation. And so we will clear that as we head into the summer months. And then in terms of JanSan, Mike, we see continued steady activity and recovery there. So a little more activity, for example, with building service contractors and office. As you know, we're seeing more overall activity, whether it's hospitality, hotels, healthcare, consistency in terms of education and government. And that's always been a disproportionate stable end market for us. And we would expect that to continue in 2024.
All right. And then related to that, I've spoken with a handful of distribution executives over these past several years who have pointed out how the new normal of hybrid and remote working environments have put a continued strain on commercial JanSan demand in terms of facilities now requiring far less sanitation than pre-pandemic, and just companies not having staff in office on a daily basis as they used to pre-COVID. So I'm curious to ask, have you seen that change over this past year, or is that still a major challenge out there for a lot of companies in the JanSan sector?
Yes, I mean, it's you're spot on. There was a pretty fundamental shift in terms of course, work away from work and work at home. And so we continue to see that reality. But Mike, for us, given the fact that our other end markets have recovered at a greater rate, we actually expect the office side of the economy to be a continued tailwind for us in the coming years. So yes, it's below full potential. Yes, it should be probably a very slow, long recovery. But as that normalizes, that will be good for us and assuredly for the entire industry.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's only room to grow in terms of that commercial office space segment. Are there any final thoughts to share with our audience of distribution executives, whether that's on what BradyIFS and Envoy are up to, or just on the greater JanSan food service and packaging supplies landscape?
Well, Mike, it's once again, thank you so much for your time today. And maybe just one parting message, and hopefully this resonated earlier. I mean, we are very confident and very excited about our future across BradyIFS and Envoy Solutions. There's a lot of work to be done, but as you know, these are incredible businesses. They're very, very durable and stable. And we think that, by applying our toolkit and our playbook, that it's going to be pretty transformational for our industry. So, a lot more work to do, and it is going to take some time, as we noted. But I think 2024 should be quite exciting for this business, for all of our associates and for all of our customers. And I'm excited to stay in touch and of course keep you kind of up to date as to what we're doing. But it should be a pretty neat year as we bring this thesis to life at a new level of scale.
Sure. And I'm sure I'll be writing plenty of news about BradyIFS and Envoy, probably just later in 2023 here and certainly in 2024.
Sounds
so
good.
Ken, thank you again for taking the time to join the MDM podcast.
Mike, thanks so much.